there, I'm Dr. Chris Atchison-Clare. I'm the director of SILMAR, Purdue University Center for Intercultural Learning, Mentorship, Assessment, and Research. And I'm here today to talk to you about this activity, the language envelopes. It's one of the activities that we have in the Hubbacool Toolbox. This series of videos is meant to help facilitators and trainers and classroom teachers and anybody who's using activities out of the toolbox implement them better and adjust them to various contexts. So to understand why you might use it and how you actually implement it is what we're doing here in these videos. They're not for the end user. Please don't show this to students. It's really meant for you as instructors and trainers. So getting started today, I'm talking about language envelopes. This is one of my favorite activities. I've been using it a very long time, and actually before I even started using this activity, I used a similar sorting kind of activity that used language. So it actually has sentences and then has people sort based on however they want to linguistically. And it has a similar outcome and sort of similar instructions. And so I'll put that as a download in case anybody, if you're a language teacher or teach linguistics or just want an alternate activity, maybe you don't have the physical objects, maybe you don't have the resources to pull it together, or maybe you're not in a setting where folks can actually share things physically, like maybe a virtual exchange or something. So I'll put that alternate version in this activity under downloads. So language envelopes requires physical things, and there's a set of instructions of what to put inside the envelopes. But however many people that you're involving in this activity, you need half as many envelopes as you have people so that they can work in pairs. If you have 30 people, you need 15 sets of envelopes. And in each envelope, there are a variety of different types of objects. So for example, we have here a note card and a comb and a feather, and lots of little things that I'm afraid of losing if I pour them out here. Things like a paper clip, and a little stick, and a rubber band, and a screw, and a little rock, and a glue stick, and a pencil, a piece of gum, a Band-Aid, all kinds of stuff, okay? So definitely something you have to prepare for if you want to use the physical envelopes, or like I said, you can use the linguistic version as well. So when you look at this PowerPoint that is in the downloads tab of this activity in the Hubbacool Toolbox, you see instructions here. You can just give the instructions orally. You don't have to put the PowerPoint up there, but it does give students something to follow if you do want to use the PowerPoint. Essentially, folks are going to divide up into pairs, and then they're going to keep doing the same activity over and over until you stop them. It's best if folks can get through at least 5 or 6 rounds, because it's amazing how creative people get in their sorting. But essentially, the pair needs to decide, person A, person B, whoever's going to go first, right? And they need to be quiet the whole time, except for when they're wrapping up the round and reporting out what it is that their guesses were, and then getting feedback on whether or not those conclusions or assumptions were correct. This works really well with homogeneous groups as well as heterogeneous groups. I know sometimes some activities require some diversity in the room in order to get people listening to different perspectives or whatever, and this works really well in that setting. But it also functions okay for homogeneous groups where people come from similar cultural backgrounds, speak the same native language. It also works for those types of groups. So very, very important that people are quiet when they do this. But whoever's person A or the first person to go is going to just start sorting the things in the envelope. So have them pour them out on the table and be careful not to lose any of the objects in there. And of course, you'll want to go back and check afterwards to make sure that they all got gathered back up and are in the correct envelopes. But that first person is going to be sorting, and then the second person is going to be watching them, again in silence. Neither one of them is talking, but they need to try to extrapolate from the categories that people are sorting into what sort of framing system is at play here, and why are people conceptualizing certain categories or moving certain objects into certain categories. Okay, So after a certain amount of time, you can ring a bell or make any kind of noise to sort of signal the end of the round. And then the person who's guessing needs to actually articulate and voice to the other person, here's what I think you did. Here's what I think the categories that you used are. And that person will either confirm or deny whether that person was right. If they're right, then that's fine. If they're wrong, then it's good to have them sort of explain, here's the logic that I was using, here's the categories that I was sorting into. And then they switch roles. And you can do this over and over and over, as many times as you have time to do before you need to move on and debrief. The only rule for the coming rounds is that you can't use a categorical system that has already been used. So if the first person sorted based on size, then that's taboo now. You got to do something else. So they can do it, there's a million different framing systems that could be at play. I don't want to give away too many of them because it's fun to experience and see how creative people are and come up with their categories. Once you stop folks from going through round after round after round, that's when the really fun conversation starts and the debriefing of what this process was like and what people are learning from it. So here are some sample debriefing questions. Definitely it's important to get the experience out there and get them thinking about how they felt and what they were thinking and how that experience was different when they were sorting as opposed to when they were watching and trying to guess. They need to talk through, a sort of revamp amongst the whole group of what different categories came up, because some things will be appearing in some pairs that nobody thought of in other pairs, and it's interesting to see these. Then also some of them will be shared amongst everybody. And then thinking about what they learned. There are definite linguistic applications of this. I mean, there's an influence from not really a deterministic, cause and effect influence, but a shaping of how we tend to categorize the world around us based on our first language. So I can post some research linked to this tool if folks are interested in exploring that with your students. The other big takeaway for this, I think, is just for intercultural competence, and that is this learning outcome of how we sort people, right? So I love this question, what if we were the envelopes? How would we sort ourselves? How would we sort other people? And then thinking through this, what if you could talk to each other? How would that have changed the process and how this activity unfolded and what you took away from it? And what if you could only sort once, which is what we do most of the time to the world around us. We sort one time and then we go with those categories, and once they're in place, they can be very difficult to change. So good debriefing questions here. You can also use other forms of debriefing. There's lots of reflection debriefing tools in the Hubble toolbox that you could pair this with. Oh, the rest of these slides are about colors and how many colors are in a language and so on. So that could be interesting to some of you, especially the linguists or anthropologists out there. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us to check out the reviews. If you try this activity, please review it. And especially if you adapt it or change it to fit a particular context, we would love to hear what you did to it. And you could contribute an alternate version of the activity to our curation of this tool. Please engage with the Hubble and the toolbox in as many ways as possible, not only consuming things, but contributing as much as you have the time and energy to do. We always appreciate that, and that's what will make the Hubble live on into eternity and be sustainable as the contributions of its members. So thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you in the Hubble. Thanks.